Record. Great, great. Thank you very much. Thank you. You could have been anywhere else on a beautiful day like this, but you chose to be here. You chose to commit to your own growth, and that means a lot to me. And I assure you, I'll do everything in my power to give you incredible value of your time here with me today. The next 1 hour to 1 hour, 10 minutes or so, I just want to build on the concepts that we talked about yesterday. So let's start with a quick recap of what did we talk about yesterday. So yesterday we talked about, first we talked about the three universal laws of money, right? We talked about how money has a mind of its own. We talked about how money is a very strong, potent force, similar, and it has all the powers of all the five elements in nature. We talked about how money has the potency of fire, of earth, of water. So if you've attended yesterday's, I hope you've reflected on this topic that we talked about. And if you haven't watched yesterday's, or if you weren't there yesterday, I highly recommend that you please go back, and the recording is available in the group. Please go back and watch yesterday's session. And then the third universal law we talked about is that money gets drawn to the person that has the mind of its own and gets drawn to the person who brings in maximum value. We talked about the example of Apple. We talked about an example of a surgeon versus a general practitioner and things like those. Then if you recall, we talked about the three invisible models. So how many of you remember the three invisible mental blocks that we talked about yesterday? Yeah? Okay, lovely. Yes. So again, let me not repeat everything that we talked about. If you have not gone through that stuff, please do go back and watch it. Some beautiful nuggets that were discussed yesterday. Okay. And most powerfully, yesterday we burnt our old money identity, because the only thing we talked about, the only thing that's coming between your uh, your present self and your future self is the identity that your subconscious mind is holding about you. So we did a very powerful exercise yesterday of burning our old identity. So today is all about installing the new identity, right? So we talked about the Phoenix mindset and what are the traits of being a Phoenix yesterday. Okay, so today it's a brand new start, and I hope when you've slept over it and burning your own identity, and now you're ready to reset your mental models with the mental models of the 1% achievers, I want to bring you some insights into what are the ways in which the top 1% achievers think, right? Some of these things I have learned through observation of the 1% achievers that I was surrounded with. I've worked with like FTSE 20 companies. I've had the opportunity of looking at how partners at big four firms, how the CFOs and CEOs of some of the largest organizations in the world, how do they function? How do they position themselves? And also I've had the opportunity to discuss with them how are they building their wealth. And these are some of the finest brains in finance in the world. Okay, so that's where I'm coming from, and I wish to share all of that with you. Right? If that's good, just type in BIO, bring it on. Bring it on. Great. Thank you. Right. So today we are going to talk about the mental models of the 1% achievers. We are going to then go into you, because all that matters is, like, we can take all the knowledge in the world, but what really matters is how does that apply to you, right? So the second activity that we're going to go into is an exercise where we are going to map out your own personal leverage zones. And I'm going to talk about what leverage is in a minute, right? And then we're going to go into some other concepts as to how you actually can move from theory to practical, and how do you move from stuck to sovereign. Sovereign is financial freedom, where you own your finances, where you own your time, when you own your, freedom, pretty much. Okay. Now, again, yesterday we talked quite a lot about that. If hard work was the answer, then the person who's building houses, the laborer, would have been the richest man, because nobody works harder than a person, a blue collared person, right? So we concluded yesterday that hard work, if that was the answer, uh, we all would have been somewhere else, because I don't think there is any dearth of this hard work mentality that at least baby boomers, Gen X's, and even up to millennials, I see that, we are very much hard coded into hard work equals rewards. Okay. So, uh, I just want to share one example before we go into the details. I want to share case study of Dr. Muskan, one of my clients, and I just want to share her experience as I'll just play a quick video just so that you can hear it on her own voice as to how she felt a transformation with all the work that she and I have been doing together on a one-to-one basis.
Today I have freedom. I know banking. I know how to own my own money and managing the money. But before this, I was not knowing. I did inner child healing with respect to money with Sonia ma'am. She helped me in rewiring my mind with respect to money. She helped me in gaining control over my money. She helped me to learn banking from the very starting, how to open the bank account, how to, with the very basic steps, she helped me how to gain control over of our own money. And with respect to this, she also helped me in coming into the systems, how money can be made in your absence. And this was, the best thing I have learned from her. The third thing which I learned from her was enjoying money talks. I was a kind of person who used to escape whenever people used to talk about money, because I used to think money is evil of all things. In the all, money makes brother fight, money makes the all the clash and everything. But with her I learned how to enjoy money talks. I started writing love letters to money. I changed my relationship with money. I started earning money. I took control over the money. But all this has happened when I was having a mentor with me, who guided me, who helped me in rewiring my brain. I just want to say to you, my dear friends, if you really want to change your life, have a mentor near you, just like I had. And Wealthwise Circle was a game changer in my life. Thank you so much for holding my hands and, bringing this transformation in me. And today I own my own money. Thank you.
Now, even I used to feel that, okay, Dr. Muskan had very, very basic challenges. And I kept telling her, Muskan, I mean, I've basically given you some very basic tools. But end of the day, actually, you have to understand wherever you're at, that is a big problem for you. Wherever we are stuck, that is a big challenge for us. So for her, that was a very big thing, and she feels a very big breakthrough. And she's a whole transformed person today because she's built a better association and relationship with owning her own money. So that was just one of the examples I wanted to share at the outset of what we are going to be talking about today. So again, before we go into specifics of the four leverage pillars, that is the main topic of our discussion today, I just want to again emphasize that why change is hard, why the internal rewiring is so important. And why I'm emphasizing on this is because the day I will tell you, okay, place 1 million rupees or $1 million here, unless or until your mind is primed for that, you're not going to, any amount of strategy will not help you. And I've been there. You can have the best opportunity in front of you, but unless or until you have the courage to understand that, if you're able to control your emotions around money, unless or until you're able to do that, no amount of tactics will help you at all. Because end of the day, we make, and we're going to go a little bit into the neuroscience of the brain, because ultimately we make all our decisions through our emotions. And that's another subject we're going to get into. But why change is hard? Let's just understand for a very brief moment that understand that our brain has about 6,000 thoughts per day. These are the number of thoughts we have, and science has proven that 80% of our thoughts are on repeat mode, are the same as our thoughts yesterday. So, yesterday from today to tomorrow, unless or until we come into the awareness that we are on a repeat mode, we're never going to be able to. Again, the identity with which we are landed here, that same identity is not going to get us to our next level of growth. So, there are three reasons why people don't change. The first is our emotional lock. And we're going to dive a little bit more into why logic doesn't drive action, emotions do. And no matter how many of you have made to-do lists every morning, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do. And how many of you actually accomplish all the things that you put on your to-do list every day? I really want you to engage in the chat. Give me some answers, give me some feedback. Is it making sense to you? How many of you feel that with logic, we only achieve this much? And we'll do one other exercise to prove this point that our logic and our rational mind does not drive our decisions in life. The second thing is our belief barriers. The way we've been, relating and associating with money, that is all gone into our system as our belief barrier. And now the worst thing is that that is the only model that we know. That is our mental model. So every time a perception filter comes up before we take a financial decision, we don't even know where it's driving from. And always remember, we are on an autopilot repeat mode. So when we have deeply ingrained financial beliefs, they dictate our behavior and that dictates the results in front of us, right? And again, another feature of the brain is that the brain is designed to keep us safe. And we talked about it yesterday. Our brain is, the organ brain is only always scanning for danger. We are also an animal species, right? The function of the brain is always to keep us safe. The minute it will start snowing, the skin will sense that, okay, it's very cold. A signal will go into the brain that I need to keep the body warm and safe. Similarly, the minute there is some kind of a person who has deceived us in the past with money, he comes in, the perception filter has to bring out to the attention, to the frontal lobe, that this person is a cheat. So you better not engage in any business activities with that person. And that is because it's designed to keep us safe, right? But God knows how many associations we build. And even if a person will come and say, look, I want to gift you $100,000, if your perception filter says that there are no free gifts in life, which is maybe a fair perception filter that you've built, you will walk away from that, right? So these are the three reasons why people don't change. And just on a lighter note, Einstein said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right? So just I wanted to emphasize on this, that as much as we are going to go into the tactical side of building wealth, how do you plan your monthly budgets? How do you track your monthly expenses? How do you invest? Where do you invest? Why you not should not invest? I'm going to pull up the curtain on a lot of things that happen in the financial markets based on all the things that I've seen on the inside being at Lehman. So all of that will come, but trust me, Rome is not built in a day. But Rome is built every day. So when you commit to your growth, when you commit to, yes, I have to master my inner game and my outer game about money, there is no way that we can leave any stone unturned in this process. Okay. So just let's do a small exercise. I want you to think about one of your last expenses, some major expense that you've taken, like, maybe gone out for dinner or a fancy dinner or bought a dress or bought any other thing, like, where you've done some significant expense, whatever is significant to you, or even if it is not significant. And I want you to reflect that what drove that decision. It's a very important exercise. Can you, somebody, would you like to just share in the chat box what expense did you undertake and what drove that expenses? Normally, um, yeah, shopping for clothes yesterday. Okay. So what emotions? What emotions? What drove that decision of shopping for clothes yesterday? A work trip coming up. Yeah, very rational decision and something that you decided you deserve to treat yourself, which is very fair and very, very need to value myself. Great. Kudos to you, Cam. Kudos to you. Yes, need to value yourself, make ourself feel good. And that's very much part of our living, which is a great decision. Yeah. So this is a decision where you took, which is partly rational and partly emotional also, right? How many of us will wake up the next morning and feel emotions about? Yes, yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing. How many of us would get up in the morning and say, okay, let me put aside 20% of my income today because tomorrow I want to, expect uh, a 20% increase in 1 month in that return. See, basically, as humans, we value instant gratification, and it takes a lot of discipline to understand how I'm going to delay today's gratification for tomorrow's growth. 90% of our decisions about money land up being emotional. So it's about training the brain, just like we go to the gym to train our bodies, and then we get into an autopilot that, yes, exercise is like become a part of it's embodied within me. Investments and learning about numbers and going into the number crunching, which, like I said yesterday, my commitment is I want to make number crunching fun. But at the same time, it is number crunching. It's going to chew your brain up a little when we talk about mutual fund investments, what to look at, this and the other, and everything. So I just want you to prime your brain around this, that it's a discipline. And if you're committed to your growth, it's something that if we've learned, we've learned. If we've not learned, we can always learn. Okay, so that was just another point I wanted to make. Now, again, this is just reiterating on what we've just talked about, that our brains are a loop machine, and new wealth reality means new mental models, which is what we're going to start installing right from today, improving our emotional quotient with money. If we are operating out of any kind of fear, any kind of limited thinking from the past, every time we're spending money, if we are having a knot in our heart, in our stomachs, and things like those are all the very things which are keeping us in our survival state. And in order for us to get a new reality, we will need to take repeated action. So when I say type here and everything, I'm priming you and I'm prepping you for the day that, if we work together, there will come a day where I will say, okay, you're okay to put 50 lakhs, 1 lakh, whatever is your capacity. I'm going to work with everyone with their capacity. But unless or until you are priming yourself for like, yes, there will not come a day when I say, okay, fine, you can use leverage. I see you. I see where you're standing. I understand your position. You can, at this point, not use leverage. Your job is not secure. You cannot use debt. Or your job is very secure. Now is the time to leverage. So that repeated action will start with, I'll tell you, okay, let's start putting 500 rupees every week or every day into some kind of a SIP. Those repeated actions will turn you into an investor mindset. But that will come later and in a step-by-step manner. But repeated action will change our identity over time. And that's how it works, really. So coming to the main subject for today, how many of you have got something from this little session on the mindset part of things? If it makes sense, just say MS. Yes, thank you. Thank you. So now coming to the 4 leverage pillars. These are the leverage pillars. I've used most of these ideas on leverage pillars as concepts from, I've been following Naval Ravikant, and I don't know how many of you have been following Naval Ravikant. He's one of the Silicon Valley founders. He's an investor in Facebook, even actually, and a lot of other places. He's a person of Indian descent, and he's written a lot of things about how, investors and founders and a lot of things around how successful people actually use leverage. And today I want to pull the curtain up on the 4 leverage pillars that Naval Ravikant talks about, but I've also turned it into an exercise which will help you quite a lot. So in order for you to grow calm, scalable income, you have to use all your resources, all the weapons in your arsenal, right? And that's what leverage is all about. In simple terms, leverage is what? Leverage is like if there is a big boulder, or rock, a very heavy rock. When there's a very heavy rock, what do? You need to put a rod underneath, and then when you pull the rod, the heavy object can be lifted, right? So that rod becomes a lever. That's leverage. And in financial terms, most of you would already know, but leverage basically is that if you have a small amount, you take a bit of loan from the bank if you have the credibility to get that loan, so that you've leveraged bank's money to build your assets up. And that leverage has to be applied very carefully without putting you at risk. And that's the whole game about financial leverage. But Naval Ravikant is talking about like financial leverage, everybody is aware of, knows that yes, there is leverage available financially from the bank that you can take. But what about all these other leverages that are available with us, which are going unnoticed? So, so uh, again, I want to give you a simple example and a beautiful story, which I've known for a very long time, a parable, so that it sits very well in your mind. Okay. Now, the story is about a man in Africa. It's a parable. A man in Africa had acres of land, but the land was barren. It wasn't having, the farmer didn't have any crops. So he was very frustrated that my neighbor's farm is so fertile, my next door neighbor's farm is so fertile. Why is my farm not fertile? Why do I not get anything? It's so rocky, it's so arid. So he was constantly complaining about his land. And finally, he said that no, I know that there are people who are, taking out diamonds from earth. So I'm going to sell this piece of land and I'm going to go search for a land and I'm going to search for a place where I'm going to get diamonds out of that land. So he sold his land and he went in search of diamonds. And the person who bought his land for a few years, he was not complaining. He was like, fine, I've made an investment or whatever. But one day he saw a shiny object on that piece of land and he went and he checked, right? And when he checked and he said, oh, this is looking strange, he started to dig, 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 dig. And after a lot of digging, it turned out that that was the biggest diamond mine in the country, in the whole area. So this is a parable which I think is used either in The Richest Man in Babylon or one of those books, maybe The Alchemist, not The Alchemist although, but maybe in one of Paulo Coelho's book. And it's a very famous parable about acres of diamonds. And that same principle applies to us in our lives also. We keep thinking, oh, we've been dealt a wrong card, or you know what, why did I not get born in rich family, or why did this happen to me, or why is my color of my hair this or that and this and the other and 10,000 other things. We keep looking at what's not there and we land up treating our acres of diamonds short. And that is again, Naval Ravikant is actually talking about pretty much the same concept in a different language. Maybe a language that Gen Zs would understand better, which is your leverage pillars. Or it's more a coding type of new style of writing concept. So the four main leverage pillars. If that's something that has gone deep, please do share, GD. I just need that bit of validation and a bit of, encouragement that, it's going deep, it's relatable, and it's something that's making sense to you. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Cam. So the four leverage pillars that Naval Ravikant, I mean, that he's the person who's inspired me in going into all of these things, is that first of all, labor leverage. And labor leverage is when do you actually, and if we don't understand these four leverages, we're going to go around in circles. The first leverage is where are you using other people's talents, other people's time, other people's processes, other people's knowledge. Yeah. So, unless or until we get into this labor leverage mentality of delegating, of utilizing, of collaboration, of saving our time on things, we're just going to be no better than the laborer that we talked about yesterday, trying to do everything ourselves. So, that collaboration is, when you do time leveraging, you save your time on unproductive activities by delegating. And one personal example in this that I want to share, and I have shared it many times actually, is like one of my bosses at PwC. There was a Dutch lady, she was a director, and in our Big Four culture, women making up to partner is like, there is still a glass ceiling, at least till about 7 or 8 or 10 years back. It is not very easy to become a partner, but she was almost de facto partner, but she was still a director by title. And a Dutch lady who was so good. She was the lead auditor for Goldman Sachs and for all these big Canary Wharf banks. And like, In capital markets, she was the best in her trade. And I had the opportunity of working under her on one of my assignments. And I used to see that, Fleur, you come dressed to the hilt from top to bottom, wearing stilettos. You have 5 children. You're so fit. And I was like, I can't hold back. I just want to ask you, what is your secret? How do you do that? You're so highly valued by your clients. You're so highly respected by your juniors, including me. And I had, a lot of opinions about a lot of my bosses, but I had to give it to her. So, long story short, she was like, Sonia, I have 5 children. I have 2 nannies. I have a personal stylist. I have not even walked into any shop to, put myself together like this. I don't have the time for it. I cycle my children to school because that's my exercise. I don't have the luxury of having the time to go to the gym. But yes, it takes me 20 minutes up and 20 minutes down. I get to spend time with my children while I'm biking and taking them to school. So she taught me leverage and I started to model that. She said, cleaner, cook, personal stylist, anywhere and anything, grocery, everything I just outsourced. And that's when I became better at my work. I became better at presenting myself to my clients. So I leveraged, I use labor leverage. The second leverage that I want to go into is capital leverage. I gave you a small example of capital leverage, letting money work for you. And that will come at a stage where you've calmed your senses, you've calmed your nerves around everything that we've not known about money. Once we understand money, money is as good as, at one time we didn't know how to roll a chapati, right? And then we became very good at rolling chapatis and cooking food. So it's the same way, once we learn, we're going to get better at investments, we'll get better at compounding assets and things like those. The third leverage that Naval Ravikant talks about is code leverage. And code is not just that you're owning an app or you've created some IT product. I got misled by understanding that code means that I must have something in the IT industry. No, code is using so many tools that are out there. And I think, Cam, you're a code person and you understand how large companies leverage systems. But that is the same thing that we can do even in our lives, right? Half the things, like right now what I'm doing, I've and I'm to a point personally, another personal story, because I can only share from my experiences, is that at this point I have my AI avatar, I have my voice cloned, and everything is ready from a tech perspective. But I don't want to use AI clones and AI voice at this stage because I want to connect on a one-to-one basis with people, because I'm driven by my mission, right? I want to make India the most financially educated country. And I'm not going to be able, like, I'm going to use all the AI tools that are available out there when I need to. But at this point, I wish to stay connected with everyone. But what I'm saying is that at any stage, every day, question yourself, where can I leverage technology? Automation that operates without you. I could have very much, made just done some script on this, put it in the AI tool, and pretty much the same person would have been talking to you, could not have even told that it's not me in person. But I can assure you right now it's me in person. And that more and more of that stuff is going to come. We all know that, right? So get in the game fast. A lot of people are saying that people who are scared that AI is going to replace jobs, they're not understanding AI is not going to replace jobs. People who work with AI will replace jobs for others. So we have a huge opportunity right now to work with AI in whichever area you're at. I don't know enough which areas you are in, but you know best how AI is disrupting your industry and how you can stay ahead of the game. Like, I know AI is going to disrupt all of this coaching industry and everything. But I'm prepped for it. I mean, when other people start putting a lot of AI driven content, one, I can tell it's AI driven, and second, I've already got the wherewithal of doing all of that, right? And the third and the fourth most important leverage, not most important, these are all equal footing leverages, but the fourth leverage is media leverage. Now, whether we like it or not, we're living in an age where people are spending 7 to 8 hours on their phones on consuming content. Whichever is your field, whatever is your field, it may not feel and it may not be for everyone. But tomorrow, when we get into domination, if you want to be, even if you're in a job, If you start to think in leverage terms, you want to be dominating. And we're going to talk about dominance because that's one of the Phoenix Wealth pillars and market domination. But that's something unconsciously, I think I was talking to somebody, one of you actually, Cam, that, unintentionally the 1% know how to dominate their space by being the best in their game. If the cards today are dealt at that you're in a job and it's serving you, or even if it is uncomfortable but it's serving you and you have to be there, just make sure that you're best at it. And this is coming straight from Gita. That's what Lord Krishna says: leave the judgment to me and the fruit to me. You be the best at whatever you're presented with, right? So media leverage is basically be your voice heard. Whatever is your subject, learn. There is no escaping. Having a voice in the market, there is no escaping that. In Naval Ravikant's opinion, and I echo that as well. Because if everybody, people are not going to bricks and mortars, right, anymore. People are not even going to colleges and institutes anymore to get degrees. The Gen Zs very well know if they want to learn coding, they'll hire a coding coach. If they want to learn personal communication, they'll hire a personal communication coach. If they need leadership skills, they'll hire a leadership. This is the gig economy. This is the future. So whatever is your basic skill, and we're going to get into an exercise. Let me see if jumping into an exercise now, the leverage scorecard. Yes. Awareness is the beginning of alignment. And here's your first bonus. I want to share one leverage template with you. Uh, 1 second. How do I? Mm, mm, mm. Just give me a second. I want to share a document here. Yes. Now I have to understand how to drop it here. File. One second, guys. I just need to. Yeah. So here's your first bonus. And I just want to walk you through this. And you can see and confirm if you can download it. And let me, yeah, I'll just share my screen and walk you through what I have just shared here with you. So this is a journal exercise that I want you to do, which is the 10x Wealth Kickstart Bonus 1, and which is a signature framework that helps. Basically, if you do not know, I'm an introvert, and my mission is introverted and creative professionals can also 10x their wealth without burnout spreadsheets or soul crushing hustles. And this exercise was going to help you define your present leverage score. Okay, so first leverage that we talked about, like time leverage, leverage over labor. This is where your wealth grows when you stop being the only engine behind every result in your life, right? So start building a rhythm where others support your value. So just rate yourself that currently how effectively are you applying time leverage in your life? Are you great at delegating? Give yourself a 10 if you delegate all the non-essentials, non-productive, non-revenue generating activities in your life. And rate yourself a 5 if you've delegated a few things, but there's room for more. And then I've also given you certain cues where it will help you understand how well are you using this leverage. Is my screen visible? Yeah. Yes. Okay, great. Yes. So the second So the second exercise, oh, sorry, what have I done here? Yeah. So the second exercise is that time leverage, just go through these five things. Are you never doing this, or are you always doing this? Or I do this all the time. Yeah, I do this well. Just go through this. This will help you assess yourself where you're at today, right? Do you, have tasks listed that you can delegate? Do you use freelancers or virtual assistants wherever you can for low value tasks? And this has been a big bulb on for me also personally, and there's a lot of room for growth for everyone. And then once you start getting into the habit, I have hired or bartered help in the last 30 days, 90 days. I regularly assess time that drains my workflow, right? Once you've done that, then also say, where am I spending time that does not return value? And if I mastered this pillar, my life would look like what? Because let's start painting a picture of like, I would be saving 4 hours of my weekend if I wasn't cleaning my house myself, for example. Or I would be saving 3 hours of my time if I was not just generally sitting and doing we talked about BMW yesterday, right? The blaming, moaning, and whining. Okay. So then the next thing is personal leverage is capital leverage. So how well am I currently leveraging my present capital? Do I have an emergency fund? Do I have, uh, you know, investments on a monthly basis in some kind of a SIP, which is systematic investment plans? I use my money to acquire something that earns for me. How often am I actually, yesterday we talked about that Robert Kiyosaki statement that the rich uh, buy assets, the poor only have expenses, and the middle class buy liabilities, thinking them as assets. And that's something that we go into in the advanced program, that what does he really mean by that? But basically, when you're making an expenditure, is it something that's going to get you a return, or is it something that's gratifying you presently? And neither one is right or wrong, but there has to be a fine balance, right? So you can go through the exercise. Where am I leaking capital with the fear, indecision, or habits? Another thing I learned at Lehman Brothers, we used to say that not taking a decision is also a decision, because we had to take some very tough decisions at times at Lehman. And we used to say that, not taking a decision at this today is also taking a decision. Because if there's a large amount of money, like in our case at that time when I learned this concept, and if you're not, we were very scared that Citibank will eat up all the funds that get routed through Citibank. And it's something that is confidential as such, but we're not a large forum here. And at that time, we were like, okay, but we're getting the highest interest at Citibank. So what do we do? And then we used to say, like, doing nothing is also a decision. So we need to take a decision. So the same way, if you're not taking decisions with money which is piling up in your bank, and I have seen so many of my friends and associates who have stacked up piles and piles of cash, but that cash is depreciating. And taking a decision of not taking an investment decision because of fear or indecision or because of lack of knowledge is costing you a lot of money and growth. Okay, so just see, where am I not taking a decision? And if I mastered capital leverage, my life would look like what? Similarly, on code leverage, go in and see, where are you using CRMs, dashboards, templates, where are you automated regular tasks like, payments. Are you making, like, do you have auto payments on your monthly utility bills and stuff like that? These are some very basic things, but I don't want to assume anything at this stage. What may look very basic to me, I've realized may not be basic for a lot of other people. So we are starting from the base level. I know what tool or platforms I'll implement next to save time. So this is more like time leverage, but also the platform and the tool becomes like a code leverage. Okay, so similar. So this is your 4 leverage pillar scorecard, which if you start now, then you're going to start thinking like the top 1%. This is how leverage works in very, very simple terms. And then tomorrow we're going to talk about domination, market dominance, how to become the best at whatever you're at, and having that mindset that I'm not going to play it small. Wherever I'm at, eventually I'm going to make it count. Okay. So how many of you found this exercise useful and are going to work with it today? I'm going to keep using it going forward. Yeah, found useful. Yes, love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Now, mm, one second. So we just finished the leverage exercise. And that's pretty much what I wanted to introduce to you, the bonus leverage scorecard, which I've shared with you. We walked through the way the model works. There is also an additional exercise in that bonus material, in that template. And we've talked about the four leverages today. And tomorrow, I want to go a little bit into that wealth is emotional before mathematical, right? How many of you would like to understand how our emotions are driving our net worth? And what is the science behind? Yeah, and there is an exercise which I've shared with you today. Great. Yes, thank you. Thank you. There is an exercise that I've shared with you today, but we're going to debrief on that exercise tomorrow, right? And I just want to leave. I have a few other things, yeah, that I just want to prime you for. But just one last thought here that I want to share is that HeartMath Institute has declared, and I mean, they did some scientific research and everything, and it has been worked out that the electromagnetic frequency of our heart is 5,000 times more powerful than the frequency of the brain. And that's why when your logical mind says, oh, I need to invest, oh, I need to save, you're not able to do much around it, because end of the day, it's the magnetic frequency of your heart. Our financial decisions are heart based. If we have to make a difference, but heart or wherever in the body, biologically, how decisions are made, we've touched upon that earlier. But what I want to bring out is that emotions play a far bigger role. And I have struggled a lot because I had, for certain reasons, I had numbed my emotions. And that's why I struggled financially also for a very long phase, until unless I owned up to the fact that I need to unfreeze the numbness for whatever reason it was created, right? So tomorrow we are going to, I've given that exercise, please go through it, but tomorrow we are going to go into the science behind your money emotion blueprint. Okay. And tomorrow also, with your permission, I want to talk to you about the journey that you can take ahead with me in getting to the milestones. I've already uh, briefly, I just want to share with you that the journey ahead is basically you start with at a starter level. I'm assuming no financial knowledge, no background in finance or anything like that. And first and foremost goal that I have for you is the 3-day challenge that I give you to get yourself primed into what does it even mean to become financially literate? Okay. And the brain science and everything, I find it very, very important. And it's very much part of that 3-day challenge that I give you. Then next milestone, and I'm going to break down what happens in every one of these milestones tomorrow. But the next milestone is I will help you get to a point where you have a significant emergency fund created, or you have created passive income. In rupee terms, a passive income of 1 lakh rupees, or in pound terms, at least a passive income of 1,000 pounds. Okay. And what would be your strategy around that? And then we're going to, the next challenge I would give you is that how do you increase your net worth by at least 1 crore in the next 9 to 12 months? What will be your strategy around that? And then the next milestone is how to become a legacy builder. How do you add 10 crores into your legacy over a period of 2 to 3 years? What will be your strategy around that? How are you going to leverage your present situation? And how will we keep leveraging things to build a systematic plan for a financial freedom? And ultimately, as far as I can take you, is that make you a 50 crore champion in the next 5 years or less, depending on your present situation. And what would be the leverage that would be required for you to get to your new identity? So again, tomorrow I'll break down all the courses and everything that's there in the program. But that's pretty much it. Tomorrow we're going to go through the emotion blueprint, and again I'll break down the journey ahead. So that's pretty much it from me today. If you have any questions, please do feel free to ask me any questions, and and then we can bring it to a wrap for today. Great. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. It means a lot to me. And I hope you got a lot of value from today's session. See you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you. And let's say bye for now.